yourself.
Me? Yeah, my name is, I go by the name Hellbent. You can find me on YouTube under the name Civ Reborn. I missed the intro, so I don't know everything that everyone said about themselves, but I do YouTube videos on Autohotkey. Been doing them for about 6 years now. A little bit on and off over the last couple of years, but hopefully get back into it. And just glad to be here. See what the discussion's about.
Welcome.
We're hoping people join us here. It's cool if you do, and if you catch us later, that's awesome. And how about, since we were just talking about it a second ago, do you want to demonstrate what you've been working on for me?
Sure. If you got something else you can talk about, I gotta find everything. I just closed everything. I was working on maybe doing a video, actually, and so I closed up all my scripts. Usually I have like 20 scripts going at once.
Yeah. So one, I had a client reach out to me, and it was interesting because they're using Autohotkey to create a script to make money with, right? Which I think is awesome. Because there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's a lot of confusion about, can you make money with it? Yes, you can. It's not a problem. You just can't sell the source code, right? It's the big thing. Anyway, when he would compile the script and people would go to download it, he gets flagged like crazy as a virus. And, he's done all the homework that I've done too. It's just like, there's really not great workarounds for it. Even when you, like Jean Lalonde for Quick Access Pop-Up, he can sign with a certificate from it's not his website, but it's basically sort of related to that it's him saying that he did it, but that doesn't guarantee they're still not going to flag you as a virus. It just guarantees that you are there's someone behind it. So anyway, he came up with this idea, which I thought was pretty interesting, is to have a third party review his script, which is me, and I'm somewhat known in the community, and I'm reviewing his source code to prove there's no nefarious things in there, right? Someone's not trying to hack and steal their, any sort of stuff, or key logging or anything like that. And then we're gonna, I'm uploading it to VirusTotal, and what VirusTotal is, it's Google's tool where you can upload executables or scripts or files, or even look at URLs, and it will review, like, I'd say at least 30 virus software tools, review the code you upload or the URL you look at, and tell you if it's clean or not, give you an idea. And then I'm taking the hash from it because I did it, and then he's going to be able to point to the file and say, here's the hash. I will say, here's the hash I had, and so he's going to share that with people, right? So it comes back with 0 virus alerts, which I did already this morning. And so anyway, I thought it was a really neat workaround.
Question, for those of us that have no idea what you just said, what the heck is a hash?
Hash, John is just joining perfectly. I'll let him explain. No, unless it's an encoding of every byte that looks at and uses some sort of an algorithm to come up with a unique number. And John, I don't know if you know a better, or Tom, if one of you have a better definition of a hash, but it's given all these bytes. Here is a unique number that, whenever you see this number, if it goes through that algorithm again, it has to come back with exactly that. Otherwise, someone has changed like 1 byte.
Okay.
What was this called again? Google.
No, it's not Google. They're just VirusTotal.com. It's owned by Google, I think.
Oh, okay. I've never heard of it before, so.
Well, here, this is stupid. Like, let's just talk about it. Why don't I load it? So let me get a browser.
Yeah, because this would be very helpful for, like you're saying, I got certain scripts that just get flagged no matter what I do.
So the other thing we did was we ran it through the FAU, I was going to say, it's not abstraction, it's, I didn't share the screen, sorry. The FAU function, which will obfuscate his code, right? So that way, even though people get the source Autohotkey code, because that's what he's sharing, they can't easily see what's in it, right? It would take a lot of work to figure it out. So here's where this is, and you can pick a file. Let me see if I have one hand here. Here's my office hours script, which that does the API call that goes upload. It uploads it, and now it's going through it. I checked QAP. It came back with a 0 as far as threats and Automator. I didn't think about it, Tom. I should have checked TabNation. but it's going through all these different virus scanners, and thankfully, so far, it looks like there's 57 total, and it came with 0 issues. Here we can go to the details. This is where you get your like MD5 hash, which is a very common. So is this. These first 3, I see these a lot on the internet, and that's what they're doing. Is they're saying, hey, when Joe with the-Automator says this is the hash, when you download it, if you got the file from somewhere else or anywhere else, you know, if you run it through this thing and you get the same hash, then it's still the same file, right? So that's how you can verify that that's it hasn't been not corrupted, but you know,
Yeah.
messed with.
Yeah, like you're saying, like a single change, because it's like a very complex algorithm, and it's just mapping like all the object data.
Yep.
So yeah, even a slight change could like completely throw off the algorithm with a new answer, which means like, yeah, it's not the same file.
Right. So let's go back to not details. How do I get? That's weird. Why? I don't know why that's there. That seems weird to me. So quick access pop-up, and then you can go in. So what I did, since I know Jean and stuff, I went into the community here and wrote a little blurb, you know, and gave it a thumbs up. It's just like giving it a thumbs up. So if there's sites that you're aware of that you like, that you think are safe, you can go in and, you know, flag them as.
Thank you.
Yeah. Jean, do you have a better explanation for what a hash is?
Kind of signature calculated from a file, from the binary content of a file that should be unique, so that if the file is modified in any way, the hash would be different. Yeah.
So Jean, because I think you missed the very beginning of this conversation, someone wrote to me and said they have a tool that they're trying to sell built with Autohotkey. Well, every time they would compile the script and then load it, people would get flagged as a virus,
Yeah.
right? And
Like
I told him that, yeah, and I actually mentioned it here too. You have a certificate that you also sign.
Yeah, the only way to be recognized as safe by these antivirus vendors is to buy a certificate by maybe a company that is owned by the same owner as the virus companies that will certify that you are you. So as you said, I heard part of what you said before. It does not guarantee that there is no virus in it, but it guarantees that it comes from a known source. So if it was to contain the virus of being a Trojan horse, people could find you because your address and your information is available. So it guarantees in some way that because you are known, you won't do something like putting a Trojan horse in your software. It usually gives good results on tools like Aristotle that you're showing here. But often there will be, out of the 72 algorithms that are listed here, there may be 1, 2, or 3 that will say that it is potential virus or something like that. And usually it's because these algorithms are very approximative. So there are false positives that will come out of that. False positive meaning that it is not, it's reported as being something bad, but it's a false report because of the approximation that is done by these tools that are doing the analysis. So and often users will quick access pop-up users will email me and say, oh, there's a big problem because there's a tool is giving you as being a virus or a Trojan. But often it happens just when you just release the software, a new version of your software, so it's a new file that is not being downloaded often yet. And as soon as the file is being downloaded a given number of time, I don't know the details of their algorithm, but then your file will be tagged as clean because there's been no issue with your file for a given number of days or downloads. So it's something that is always there. But if you don't have a signature for your file, if you don't have a certificate for your file, then you are open to being tagged very often because the algorithm will give good a big weight to the fact that you're signed, and if you are not, you can easily be considered as not safe. and it costs money. So if you're doing a freeware, that's something bad. You have to pay for distributing something that is free. Fortunately, there are donations that help to pay for that, but it's hundreds of dollars. It's not very cheap. It's and trouble. You have to authentify yourself with a lawyer or someone, an accountant, someone that is recognized as being authorized to sign a document that certifies that you are you. So it's big trouble, and yeah. And Autohotkey is not signed as far as I know.
No, I don't believe it.
Yeah. So and they are often reported as pirates.
Yeah, and Tank was really interested when he heard what you had gone through of considering doing that for Autohotkey. The other interesting thing, I was talking to Jackie about this at the end of one of our podcasts, after the podcast, it's not recorded, but he also said, you might want to, if you're doing this and you're trying to, compile a script with Autohotkey, go back to different versions, the older versions, and try different ones with different executables, because some of them will get flagged far less than others. So that was a really interesting tip.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
The oldest will probably be have better reports than the newest because of what I explained earlier. Or maybe a release that was there only for a short period because it's been replaced by a fix quite rapidly. This one that has been online shortly will maybe have worse result because it has not been as much downloaded by others. Yeah. So there's this. The other thing that you also have to do if you want to improve your results is to have HTTPS website. So it's a certificate for your website using SSL, because if you offer to download the file from a site that is not SSL, that is not certified, then again, you will have bad results. You will have users receiving message telling them, do not touch this file, it will harm your computer. And you have to say, no, I know this is a safe source. And so you accept the risk of downloading this file. So for some users, it's something very intimidating that will prevent them from downloading your tool, even if they know you and they download it from your site and they email to you, and so that's something that's very annoying. But of course, we don't want to have viruses to go around the web, and we want these protections. So we can understand that, but from a developer point of view, especially freeware, it's very annoying.
Yeah. So someone mentioned on my channel, one, you can write the antivirus companies and email them and tell them it's safe, blah blah blah, and they might give you a green light. But man, there's a lot of antivirus companies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's not that easy to email them and have a reply from them. I can tell.
Yeah.
My
I'm sure they
experience
get
is
lots
you
of
have to pay
emails too, so.
safely and permanent. Of course, the certificate is not permanent. You have to renew it, but at every new release, you may have to flag your file as being safe to all these companies, and there are 72 on this file, I think, that you show us actually. So it's really not something that is convenient.
Does anybody else have any other thoughts or questions on that?
No, this is awesome. I like this. I'm definitely going to be playing around with it quite a bit and seeing how my stuff passes through. Curious.
Yeah, I think the general idea, which I love from that guy that had wrote me, is using Fayu to obfuscate your code, and then you tell people go get Autohotkey, or you can package it with it, right? But the Autohotkey exe on its own probably won't get flagged by many, and then you give them your script, and of course, and I know from talking to Jean too, it's like, okay, that's still asking kind of a lot for people to be able to do this, because most people just aren't.
Hello.
It's better than getting flagged, just because I was putting executables on the Automator, and it was getting flagged as a virus source, and so that's why we said, all right, no more sharing of executables. We're just going to share Autohotkey scripts and not worry about it.
Yeah, because your audience is Autohotkey developers or programmers or coders. They're not end users. But if you want to as a tool for end users, you need to make it ready to install.
Yeah.
Ideally with a setup file that will do all the stuff for them, yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
So you have to sign your executable, you have to sign the setup file also. So the setup file contains your executable, so you have to sign multiple files when you add your certificate.
Hellbent, are you ready for?
Yeah,
Sure.
I have a bit.
And after that, I got a question coming in too. But I'm setting up real quick something.
We can do the question first.
I gotta set up something real quick.
Oh, okay, okay.
Take me a few seconds to code it.
Like a few seconds or a few minutes?
Or sorry, a few minutes.
Okay, okay. So,
Go for it.
Alright. You able to see? Okay.
Looks good.
Okay.
So hold on just 1 second. So, I had been wanting to add some improvements to my screen flipping tool, like things to be able to draw shapes in text and zoom. And I knew Hellbent does a lot of stuff with GUIs in the GDI library, so I thought, hey, maybe this is, quote unquote simple for him. And then he, of course, took it to the moon as far as what he's doing. But anyway, sorry, Hellbent, I wanted to set the stage a little.
Yeah, okay, so actually I was going to go back to like the beginning of how the development has gone. So you approached me like 3 or 4 months ago and asked me if I could do the tool for it. So I didn't have really a lot of time at the time, but I started going through, okay, what do I need in order to make this project happen? So there was a few things that I'd never done before, some challenges to overcome, and I guess the first one would be how to draw an arrow. Never drew an arrow before, so how do you go about drawing an arrow? So I ended up making a forum topic on it, and I documented my progress through it, what I was looking to do, how I figured I wanted to do it, and then going through developing it until I had something like this. So this isn't completed yet. So I did this a couple of months ago, June, and I haven't worked on it since, so I still need to do a little bit of development on it.
Oh, that's awesome.
This. Right now, the arrow, the black line, it actually goes right to the end. So there's one other calculation I have to add into it. But that's one thing. So we have the ability to draw arrows for the on screenshots. So anytime you take a screenshot, you can draw an arrow on it. The biggest challenge was how to do the text. Now, when we first started discussing the text, we put out ideas like have an input box and then just like take something from an input box and put it onto the screen and things like that. But I didn't really like that, and I've been wanting to create a edit control for layered windows anyways. So I thought this would be good enough time to try that, but I had no idea how to do it. So this is the progress, the development that I went through that, where I typed out some stuff and added some lines, typed out some more stuff, but it doesn't have any of the abilities, like I can't backspace. Oh, I can backspace in this one, but I can't arrows. There's no caret or anything like that. I can't paste anything. So I just went through a few development iterations. So this is, I think, the current version. So I haven't worked on it in a while, but right now I have a caret that I can move around with arrow keys and space bar. I can go back. So this, oh, by the way, this is a layered window. So this isn't a regular window. In fact, if I get rid of the background for it, now that there's nothing there, and I'm not even sure if I can actually click on it to type in it. You see there. So there's something else. Anyways, this isn't a real edit control. control. Like there's no edit control that I'm typing into there. It's just a window, and all I'm doing is I'm picking up the messages and just separating out what I need and pushing it onto an array and just moving a caret throughout that array. So I tell it which position I want to be in. So that dealt with the two big problems that I was going to have, like things that I'd never done before. The rest was just like drawing onto the screen, which is really no problem. So let me see. Create. No, this isn't the one. Oh yeah, zoom. So this is the zoom mechanism as we worked it out. So what we're going to do is we're just going to zoom the whole window, and then you can zoom in on it. And right on the window, arrows, zoom. I think that worked out all the things that the components that I needed. So that brought me to the point where I can start developing the tool. And it went through, no, this is the one. Oh yeah, so this is the last component, drawing shape. So this just shows the principle of like drawing a shape, adding it to it. This is the last component of doing the whole project. And that brings us to the tool window. This is the concept for the tool window. When you take a screenshot, it'll look like this. If you mouse over, you'll have two buttons, one to close it, one to open up a tool window. And then these were the original drafts for that. The next phase is, so this is a screenshot, assume. This is my tool window, and then if you click on it, it expands out and gives you a bunch of options. And version 4 went to a new design. And then the newest version, that current iteration, is right here. We have this. We're going to be going and taking the transparency. Right now it has transparency, but we're going to be getting rid of that. And then it's going to have panels with its own. I only have a couple of panels mocked up so far, but these are what it's basically going to look like. So you have a screenshot. You can pop this up. If it turns color, it tells you that it is active. And if not, okay. I think I covered everything.
But what I'd like to mention, hellbent, is everything you work through. It's a great job documenting how well you've modularized things, fixed, worked on different pieces of it, at different times, and then brought them together. I think it's a really great way to develop code.
Yeah. And there wasn't like a lot of pressure, so I could do it that way. So, I could. Well, either way, you still, with anything, if you come across something that you've never done before, you want to simplify it as much as possible, right? Just work on that problem as much as possible. Like writing a real script, like a detailed script, takes time. Like there's often a lot of setup before you can even run code, before you even test anything. So setting up a situation where I'm just trying to develop an arrow rather than develop an arrow plus a screenshot taking thing that pops up menus and everything else. Yeah.
And that's a great point too, of as you combine things, the complexity and things might go wrong, which have nothing to do with what you're trying to develop. And so why work with that at the beginning, right? Save that for later. Okay, did anyone else have any questions or anything of?
No, this is really cool. This is something that's not accessible yet, is it?
No, not yet. No.
Okay.
Right now, this isn't tied. This isn't connected to any screenshot taking ability. So this one here is I just went in and wrote a little simple class to take screenshots, so that way I can connect this up to it. So I can further. that's my next goal, is connect this to the screenshot, so a screenshot will be taken, and then the ability to launch this tool window. Once I have that ability, then I can start coding in the different tools. So this is all layered windows. I don't know if anyone's too familiar with working with layered windows, but these aren't actual controls. So this isn't a real control. Everything that this control potentially has to do, I have to go in and code it. So I have to make it so that way it changes the graphics, put the list up there and everything like that, and then have the ability that when the list pops down, I can actually draw on it. So this is what you see, but what actually is going on is there's actually a window right in here, and I can draw, if I need to add a drop down list, I can just draw a rectangle and put a list in it.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but at least some of this stuff, we did a video, like a week and a half ago, roughly?
Yeah.
And it's on the forum. Part of it's on the forum. But to help develop your code, right, it was pretty awesome.
There was also, you mentioned, like, I don't know if did you end up doing a video on the base64, taking an image to base64?
I haven't done the video yet, just because
Okay.
I'm coughing through it.
Okay, yeah, so that's what I have on that. Other than that, it's just,
Thank you, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's really
Did you
cool.
have
Yeah.
from your-
Forget the guy's username is like Key Palette or something. Yeah, can you or how do I even take over share screen? There we go. I always forget how to use Zoom. Screen 1, share. All right. So he was just kind of asking a quick question on context menus and, kind of like a system one and how to create. So I guess he knows how to, let me know that you can see everything okay. So he knows how to do kind of like the basic, menu that you get to pop up, but he wanted to know how to do sub menus. So sub menus are pretty easy. You're pretty much just doing the same thing you're doing up here all the way up until the end. So, you're still doing my menu, add, whatever you want to call it. So I'm just going to call it one sub menu. And then normally you use your handler here to jump down to, where you're going to put your code. The only difference really is we're just going to put these dots right here in the front. And that's saying instead of, jumping to a handler, it's going to be a new menu. And then you're just going to put the menu at the top of your main menu. You want to load this first, because it's going to be going down. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you were to put this like down here, you would actually get an error saying like the menu doesn't exist yet. I think so.
I don't use them a lot, but and the other one, it's funny because that's one of the main reasons. Cause I used to build these by hand, and it just drove me nuts when you have multiple layers, and it would take so much time. And then I discovered QAP.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
By hand? It's so easy.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up after this one.
But you're right. I mean, some people are building a tool where they want it, so that's cool.
Yeah.
And then adding an icon, was the other one that.
Yeah, I did a video on that too, on how to kind of make them look fancier. But yeah, you're just putting those little dots here at the beginning. You do need to put the new menu at the top, and you're just naming it, as you see, both highlighted, as your new menu. Because these are your menu names. So this is just my menu, and this is just called my sub menu. And this is just saying jump to my sub menu. So that's pretty much all you're doing. That's really the biggest difference, is make sure you put your new menu at the top and you put these little dots there, and that's really it. And then yeah, you got like the quick access. I have it on my computer right there actually, but I'll throw that back at you, Joe, since you're kind of like the
On the call if he wants to share it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. We actually have the creator on here, so maybe he can just do a quick 5-minute preview of exactly what it is. We've both done videos on actually all about it and stuff, so if someone wants to see more detail, they can definitely check that out. So I don't know if you can screen share for the thing.
So here you have a list of content of your main menu. So when you hit the middle mouse button or any other button or key, hotkey that you can configure, you see the content of this main menu here. But if you want to create something in a submenu, you will add, I'll do a new one here. Add submenu. Joe, I added icons here, one of your suggestions. This is what is running here, is a beta release. So something may go wrong, but I don't think it's been quite well tested at this time. So I'm creating a submenu.
We don't see the, we're still on the customize menu.
Yeah, same thing happened. I stopped sharing and start again.
Yeah.
I don't know what, something is going wrong between VirtualBox that I'm using to run this. So I'll just find where I will stop my screen sharing.
I'm looking forward to icons there, because that was one of my little tiny pet peeves with it. Is just it would take me a while to find from that big list of stuff what I'm looking for.
So here we are in the main customized menu. I click add. You see the selection of type of favorite that you can add to your menu. One of the type, of course, folders, documents, application, but one is submenu. I'll call it my submenu. There are options here where you can select, for example, the size of the icons in your submenu, a shortcut that would open this section of your menu. A lot of options
Yeah, crazy.
are available, and you can sort the menu automatically. A lot of options here, but keep it simple here. So I'll just add a line separator, save this menu, and when I open it again, I have this submenu that is now added at the top. It is gray out because, as you said, there's no content currently in this submenu, so it's not possible to open it. But if I go in this submenu, so I double click here to enter the submenu, and I'll enter a folder. Let's use C \, and that is already existing somewhere else, but I am already using this simple example. I'll add a document or an application here, for example, Notepad. I don't have to enter the full path because Quick Access pop-up will find it, because it's easy to find this. Some software that are well registered in Windows, you can find them without having to enter the full path or even the extension. So it will be here, so I save it. And now my submenu has two items, the C
And then demonstrate.
drive and the Notepad program.
And then demonstrate if you wanted to move that down. So this is, one is creating, it's awesome, but then say, oh, you know what? I really wanted that submenu 2 levels, lower.
Okay, I can move it lower in the list here, for example. So now if I preview it, you see that it's now, where is it? My submenu is here. Or you can move it to another submenu. So if I open, oops, no, I'll just edit it. I can move it under another submenu. So for example, I put it under my special folders.
And this is where, if
And
you've
now
ever done
it's-
this,
And if I preview it, I'll just return to the main menu. It is now under my special folders. You have my submenus.
and if you've ever worked through the code to do what he just did, it just sucks. That's all I can say. It's such a pain. So this is why when I saw this, I almost fell over. I'm like, oh my God, that will save me so much time.
So I'll move it back to the main menu at the top.
And
in Quick Access pop-up, I'm doing it using a lot of objects and things to make it easy to reuse code and to not to have to code every line, as Thom showed. But of course, if you need a menu in your application, it's not something that will be moving a lot. You can do what Thom said, and it's quite easy to do menu, submenu, link them together. But when you want something that will evolve with your needs, then it becomes very tedious to maintain it that way.
someone just
Yeah,
chimed in
definitely.
on my channel. They're like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. It is. I mean, granted, again, if you're doing your own thing, that's entirely different. But often you want to launch a script, open a document, open a folder, whatever, and you have live folders. I mean, there's so many things you have built into the tool, and it's available in what, 10 languages, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's back to donationware, so it's free. But if you like it, give them a few bucks.
I sold it for close to 1 year, but it was more trouble than benefits, so I returned to freeware.
I had a question come in.
User are, even though that paid their license, they are still happy with the software, even if it's back to freeware. Most of them, they're just happy that it's still there.
Hey, Thom?
Yeah, I had one come in, a question about this from KeyPal. He was wondering, is there a way to create multiple menus that can be called upon by different hotkeys? Okay.
Or a
The
hot
menu, this menu here that, or a hot string, this menu here that I just added, I will edit it and assign a shortcut to it. So for example, Shift Control M, and you could say left shift, right shift, or the more options are available, but keep it for Control Shift M. Save it. And now you won't see it, but if I press on my keyboard Control Shift M, it will only open this section. So it has to be defined in your main menu as a section of your menu.
That's cool.
That will still be available if you do the full browsing in your menu to get to this submenu. But so for example, I have a menu with only snippets, so small pieces of text that I can reuse. So I have Alt space that will open this submenu with only these snippets.
and John,
I have one with all the URLs I use for quick access pop-up. So in this case, I will use a hot string. Joe mentioned that. Excuse me, Joe, I'll just complete on this one. So you can also define a hot string here, and let's call it my menu, and I'll put let MM. Okay, it's not something that I would keep for real, but save it. I'll reopen Notepad. So if I type MM space, it will open the menu. So here your menu could be text snippet that you could select, and it will add this text to your file.
John,
I think I have snippets here if I want to show a real one here. This one is a real snippet. So you could type comma snippet, and it will be expanded to the full text of the snippet. Yes, Joe, excuse me.
it's just it's so powerful. It's I think my second favorite thing, other than just snippets, is the interaction with the open and save dialog box.
Okay. Yeah.
So since you're there, yeah.
Yeah. Usually when you want to save with any software, it will open a dialog box somewhere that is exactly not where you want to save your file. So you always have to browse to find the place where you want to do it. And so with quick access pop-up, you can open your menu and select. I'll use, for example, one of the recent folders that I use on this virtual box. So let's use this folder here. So it will automatically change your save as dialog box to the favorite folder that you selected. And now I can save my file here in this folder. So I'll open the folder to check that the file is really there. What was it? It was quick access pop-up client, if I remember well. So here's the file that I just saved. Yeah, it's very dialog box. Changing the folder in dialog box is the most mentioned benefit or time saver using quick access pop-up.
Yeah, anyone that works in a corporate office where you have these crazy paths to folders that you can't control because other people have access to them, this is such a great, simple time saver of being able to jump to that folder, either opening or saving a file, right? It's so helpful. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, he was definitely interested in that too.
It's a great tool. It's amazing.
I do like the fact that you can, you have like your master list, but then you can kind of, create all those sub menus and go directly to them. So it's almost like having multiple context menus, that like, you have, he was saying he wants one for Blender, one for Photoshop or whatever. So it's like nice that you can do that direct to those submenus. That's
Let me-
huge.
Let me share my screen. I'll show you stuff I do. Is in here I have stuff for the Automator. Here are links to for stuff for my podcast, stuff for my newsletter. But then I have these are snippets. So I have URLs to my courses, so I can post them places. These are very common pages. So I don't have to go look. I don't know, Tom, how often someone will ask you something. And you're like, oh, I have a page on that. Let me give you the link.
Yep.
Then you have to go find the link, right? So I have them all in here, my different playlists in YouTube, popular posts, right? So popular webinars, super, super helpful. And just to access folders, very frequently used folders. So yeah,
Yeah, it's nice to keep them, separate from my, personal use of like Chrome and stuff. Keep my URLs separate. It's a nice like spot. So it's
here
like
I have stuff for
coding.
FFmpeg. So these are all different things that run FFmpeg doing different stuff. They pass different syntax. They're different scripts. But yeah, that was my point of like, and this is the Mexican restaurant I'm helping out, right? And this will open. Oh, he didn't demonstrate a group. So like this one, when I click it, hopefully it opens. No, it opened the other screen. It loaded the 7 pages where if I'm going to post a photo for them, their pages. So if you have like, let's say with Autohotkey, we had there's I think 5 Facebook for groups for Autohotkey. There's 2 LinkedIn pages, groups, and then there's Reddit and the forum, right? So somewhere in here, let me see if I can. I don't think it's under here. I have one. I think it is. I can't remember. This is the one because I just don't use it. That I use it once a month, but it's for posting the webinar stuff. And I have, oh no, it's not that. That's for logging into all my different websites. But yeah, I think you get the idea, right? But it opens them in a group, which is really cool because I don't have to navigate to each one separately. And just that, for some reason, how I've structured that. Oh, here we go. We're webinar social share, so there's 11, right? So this will open up those 11 Autohotkey pages, and then I can put it in my clipboard and paste and just keep going. Looks like that Facebook's group is gone now. But yeah, anyway, it's a huge time saver. Okay, so
yeah, definitely agree. Joe's a little sick today, guys.
got that. I should have used the Google test site for that virus. Anyway, anyone else have any other questions? Anything?
I'm seeing what I got coming in. I'm just kind of chit-chatting with some people.
Have you? Yeah, and Tom, have you done anything recently? Any scripts you've worked on lately that are cool?
I was doing some fun ones. I made a weather one that just kind of does it checks a website to see what the weather is. If it's sunny, it changes my wallpaper to sunny. So nothing too fancy, but I did actually, I found something. I don't use tree views too often. Here, I'm going to switch over. Screen one, share. So, I forget her username. She's on Reddit. Let me see if I can find her. So that way I can give her some credit here. Actually, she probably put it in her code. I don't see it. Yeah, whatever. But I don't use tree view very often, but when I do have to, which is, like I said, very unlikely, it's such a pain, honestly. I don't like coding them. I think they kind of are. They're like GUIs. GUIs aren't really that fun to code, but you got programs out there that help you. So this is kind of like her version 1, I guess, and it's really cool. You just kind of, over here, you say like, okay, I want to add, the beginning of my menu here. Let's add another one. But then you can click and say, let's add a sub. Or wait, I haven't really used this too much. There we go. And it's really cool. You can just like keep going, however you want to create it. And then you can go back and always name it. It can be like I said, I haven't used this only but once. I think you do it up here. Say modify. Oh yeah, there we go. You can just literally just start building your you know, whatever you want to call it. You got always some, and you can play with it and all that. And then as you see over here, it's actually writing the code for you live, showing you everything you got. So then all I have to do is copy and paste this and, you know, stick it into wherever I want. So you got a few other things. I haven't really tested out any of these. I don't know what screen does. Not sure. Redraw. But I'll have to, I'm going to do a video later on for one of my showcases. But I just thought this was really cool, and I wanted to see, you know, anybody watching what their opinion on this was, if they think it's something they would, you know, use a ton or whatever. Yeah.
So I had a call with Maestri the other day, and he had it's nothing to do with this kind of the previews, but he was showing off his tool he built for helping him write MySQL and connect tables and stuff. And I was telling him, which is the same thing with this, right? The same general concept. It's one thing I think most programmers really don't think that much about and spend time on, is even creating a tool for themselves if they want, finding one that writes the syntax for them, right? It's such a big help. That's the main way I use QAP, is to store my little snippets of text for my code, and I can then have a menu to help me go, oh, there's my little snippet for doing, you know, reading from a file, whatever it's.
One of the greatest things I've ever discovered was, like, I love GUIs, but, you know, they kind of suck to code because of, like, all the X and Y coordinates and all that. And just coming across Smart GUI controller, or a creator, where you literally just, like, draw your GUI and it spits the code out, was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. So, like, stuff like this, yeah, I mean...
How much do you use it? I learned how to write GUIs by hand. So when I found out about that tool, it was a little bit difficult. Like, it seemed a little bit more cumbersome than it needed to be, right? Like, one of the problems I would have, like, if you click on a control, it would move it around in ways that it's not supposed to move, and things would get buried on top of each other. Like, I don't know how much you've used that one. Have you tried any other ones as well?
This is just the kind of the one I came across, and at the job I worked at was like the only one that for some odd reason would pass our antivirus. So I just got used to it. I did the same thing where I originally learned how to hand do everything, but I got so sick of the whole, you know, XY coordinates, run it. Okay, that doesn't look right. Do it again. I would, if you have a nice list of them.
Myself for that. I'm trying to develop a GUI maker.
Yeah, let's say if you have a list of GUI makers, I would love to see them, because I love these things. You know, here's, this is the one I'm using. It's just, yeah, Smart GUI Creator. But I mean, it's really cool. You know, it is pretty basic, like you're kind of saying, you know, you want to put a button here or something. But you do want to kind of plan out before you go, because see how I put that there? But then, you know, maybe I add a text up here. Well, the code's going to show this first versus this. So once it comes out, you do kind of have to reorganize sometimes. Which
never passed API scale.
Yeah, like I like pushing this, and I wish there was a way to say, like, you know, push it up or push it down as far as where it's showing up in your code. But unfortunately, yeah, it does not do that. Which is, yeah, it can be a bit of a pain.
Jackie and I did a bot. We recorded it. It won't be out for several weeks now because we got a bunch in our queue. But we talked about, should we create wrappers, right? And that's basically what that kind of is to me, right? It's a way that simplifies what we're doing and opens the door where people like me, either I'm too lazy or I'm too busy or whatever it is, or I'm not knowledgeable enough to create them. I can now do the stuff at the same time. Almost any time you do that, you're restricting what can be done, which I think was where Hellbent was going. It's like, you know, depending on the tool. And when someone makes a tool that can do everything, and then it's so complex, people don't want to use it, right? So it's an interesting conundrum.
Yeah, no, I'll use it just to create something real quick and real basic, but then after that, I'm doing the rest by hand.
You mind if I show you guys something?
Yeah.
Like I said, in the long run, I'd like to. I don't know if you've ever seen something I've created called a bitmap maker. So it's just basically a drawing software. So it's like, think of like MS Paint for code. Like you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so that concept, but for GUIs as well, like so graphics, GUIs, everything like that, in that environment. But in order to get, see, with GUI makers, with auto GUI makers, theoretically they make a lot of sense. But when you actually make them and when you start using them, they're a lot more cumbersome than you think they are. So it ends up being where it actually is often, I find it often more easy just to type it out, just type it out and get it over with. But I've been working on a concept, and I need to do some testing on at least part of the concept. And I've been using it just for a couple of weeks now, and I've only played around with it for a couple of times now. But you're gonna hate this one though, because you have to know how to make a GUI. But I can go in here and just add in this, update, and now I have this that I can start working and playing around with. If I wanted to, I can change this to, let's say, a list box. And then this is the part that you hate is the
Yeah, that's honestly the biggest reason why I like using the creator is just because of the width, height, and all that stuff is such a pain.
this I intend to integrate this into a system that's more like this. Also with the ability to track variables, routines, and everything like that. So you build up your GUI. If you add a button, you can attach, you can go in and code out the label for it. My idea right now, my working idea right now is like, if I'm writing out code for a subroutine, I wouldn't necessarily write it in editor environment, but rather go into an editor, type it out, and then put it into my project. So it'll be like a whole project integrated system. But I'm not sure yet. If I'm going to do that or how I'm going to do that. This thing right here, so I have to type in a list box with 300 update, and now I can go through and add in as many people as I want. If I want to change the color, I want to change the font. I want to do
And just real quick to throw it out there with that list view thing, so she gets credit. It was like EntropicBlackhole was her username. Just throw that out there.
Just remind everybody, if you do have questions or something, you want some help with something, try them in here, or we can give you a link to join the meeting if you want to share your desktop.
this just allows me to quickly, I've used this a couple of times, and it's not as cumbersome as I would have expected, having to deal with the properties and typing them out. This gives me actually quickly being able to prototype something out. Also, what I like about it is the output. I'm not sure if I want to keep the output the way it is right now, but if I go to, the output gives me an object that I can build on, and also add everything into an object so I can keep track of. So over the last, when I first started out with Autohotkey GUIs, I started out with using variables. Now I pretty much never use variables. It's all just using a handle for the control. So this just, as soon as I start adding things in that window, in the tool, it just builds up an object for me at the end. So that way I can keep track of everything. Makes things really easy.
Well,
So like I said,
I was going to say, remember Hellbent? This is, I don't know, at least 2-3 years ago. We were on with Bastrieth, and you had one script you were working on, and you were using variables, and it was really slowing down your computer. Right. And Bastrieth adapted it to using an ActiveX object with objects tracking everything, and it was crazy how much faster everything. Because you had thousands of things going on in it, right? And it was just amazing the speed, performance benefit.
Yeah, I think what he was using was I don't remember, like I don't know anything. I really don't know anything about XML. But he was saying it was like what was he saying? He was using that to somehow perform the logical operation for collision. So I don't know how he was tapping into it to make the calculations faster or what, but that was apparently what he was saying he was doing. Any questions? Any questions about this? Like I said, it's an early prototype, but it's actually not.
I say if you want to test her, send it over. I love you playing with that kind of stuff.
On the forum, it should be within the last 2 pages.
Oh, okay.
On the scripts and things. It's just this. If you have any feedback on it, like because I plan on developing it as a system, so my original one, the windows themselves will be separate, like a separate list, so you can pick which window you want to add controls to and everything like that. You'll be able to like do things like you wouldn't have to type in here. It'll have like buttons that you can move things around, move by 10 spaces at a time, whatever. And then when you get, hopefully, when you get the code coming out of it, it'll all be relative positioning, so it'll work with PPI scaling, no problem. But like I said, it's hopefully a full integrated system, not just the GUI maker. It's the creating the labels for it, being able to track variables and objects and having them in lists that I can easily find what their values are, when I use them, etc.
It's awesome. And what'd you call it again? Like its name?
I don't remember what the thread's name is, but the tool, it should have a thread name that's similar to the tool's name. So it's GUI Maker, something GUI Maker, GUI Prototype Maker or something.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna look for that for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking. It's probably on the second page.
I'm a big GUI guy. I know Joe doesn't care for them, but I like visuals.
I just don't work with them.
Yeah, not often.
Mastrieth or Isaiah's RaptorX, and Hellbent too, right? Helping me with them because.
Okay, here I'll put the link. I'll put the link in the chat.
Oh yeah, and I'll throw it online.
And then I was going to share, just share the links, but I'll show the real quickly here the page. Although let me grab before we stop sharing. So that's the link to the forum post, which I'll put in my chat.
So you guys were actually, when I went for a smoke, but you guys were talking about, I assume that's the a new script that was added to the forum where you can add items to a tree view.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I remember that guy. He was asking in the comments. So at least part of it has to do with like the same kind of thing that the GUI prototype maker does, is where you can execute code. Like you take everything from basically any GUI does it, but it's more specific that it's supposed to run. It takes the inputs, and then runs code based on that. I mean, every GUI pretty much that's what they all do, but it's a subtle difference. Very subtle.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was really cool. I was talking to her too about it. I don't use them very often, but if I did, this would be a great tool.
Yeah, when you search for GUI creators, there's a fair amount of them on the forum. Doing different stuff with different strengths and weaknesses. What I was going to show you is one I played with recently. Let me share my screen here. Is I found this function from Steam, this FileX Pro, and it's pretty amazing. You can access up to 1,317 file attributes, on a given file. So I worked through how to use the function. It takes a variadic parameter, so you can pass a list of multiple things. And he has this list of 1,317 different attributes. Depending on the file type, if it's a program or an audio file or a video, right, it'll only have for certain things depending on that file type. But it was pretty incredible. This one, I don't know if Thom or you too, hellbent, if you do anything with it, but you could use this BAS DLL file to record audio in a lot of. I tested it with where did I see? Yeah, MP3, WAV, OGG. Oh, look, I have a typo. Oh, that's fine. In AIF file formats. That was pretty cool. But yeah, I think there's built-in ways. I found one post that said like 7 ways to use Autohotkey to record audio, and most of them work. And I started playing with them. A couple of them I tried, I couldn't get to work, but I think there are built-in ways, especially with Windows 10, that you could probably use to record audio without having to get this DLL file.
Oh, that's cool. That could be useful for us.
What would you use that for?
Well, just if you wanted to build a tool that you could record little bits of audio.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you want to like export a single audio recording, I guess, into like different waveforms or something. It would just be a quick way. Yeah, just customize how you want. I see it more of like a kind of like record and then do something with the recordings kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I just thought, hey, some people like to have audio reminders, so you could easily have it where you hit a hotkey, it pulls up, you start recording, you can stop, and it would email you that file as a reminder, right? Something like that. But it just depends, if you could build a tool where someone's using.
Yeah, I was thinking like that, like have a little overlay up at the top of the screen and start pause.
And often people, or have it go to voice to text and, automate the translation of it as well, or texting, converting it to text, which that's actually a function. There's a COM object, I believe, for that, for converting audio to text.
I did not know that.
And then I was just playing a little bit with cleaning it up. Someone, I think in last week's call, they mentioned I had a regex for phone numbers, and so I just worked through how to play with the regex just for fun of different formats you might want to use and different ways you can work it. Let's see here. Yeah, Paul mentioned he got my Udemy course. Yeah, that was Isaiah. So it's really, I helped outline everything and build the content, but Isaiah knows his stuff, and he did a great job with that GUI course. I'm very proud of it. It's a really high-quality course. As DTP asked for an example of working with XML, I have videos, on that with Maestrief where he was teaching me how to work with XML. But let me find the because I haven't worked with it in a while, so it would be a struggle. But if I search my channel for oh, look at this. Do you see that title? I hate this new version of Yahoo, YouTube, where you mouse over and it disappears, right? But we're playing with XML tree views and objects, so that's a good one if you're trying to learn that. But this is the second one, which it's almost a 2-hour video, right? But it's a really good walkthrough of using XML and his XML class. I'll just in case, I'll put this one as well. This is where he was just demonstrating how you can store objects and use objects to build, and XML to build your tree views. And he knew XML like it's so amazing to watch someone that really knows what they're doing, the stuff that he could do so quickly. For me, it would take forever. I could still figure it out, but it'd take me a while. He on the fly would do this crazy stuff. And it's really amazing.
Is there a reason to use XML over just kind of what's built into Autohotkeys?
Yeah, mainly one is, XML, it was always confusing to me at first because I felt XML was a file, but it doesn't have to be a file, right? It can be in memory or you save it as a file. So one is you can save that structure, in your file. And XML, because it has structure, it can be really, really fast compared to JSON, right? So for anything that's not a huge file, it can be really fast because you can leverage that structure and jump to points and get a list of things and leverage all that stuff. JSON otherwise is a much flatter. You can store a lot more data it's compact, right? But you have to loop over things to go find stuff, right? So XML allows you, if you built it right, to not have to search for it. You can jump right to it.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. I never really played with it. I mean, I've played with like HTML. That's the first thing I pretty much ever learned when I was like in middle school was HTML, but I've never really played with XML.
Yeah, and HTML is basically a subset of XML. Just just it has the tags have meaning in HTML. In XML, most of them don't really have a meaning, right? They're just a structure. But you can really think of them in the same way, right? In the sense of how they're built.
Very cool.
Did anyone else have any other things they wanted to work on or anything?
Don't got anything coming in through the chat. I was sick last week also, so I didn't get much going on this week with coding or anything.
Yeah.
Kind of took like 5 days off, so I only had one video come out last week.
It's one of the true benefits of when you work for yourself is hey, if you I mean, granted you don't get paid.
Well,
but
yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna lay in bed. Screw it. I mean, that's what I did all day yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I did that for a few days, and yeah, like you're saying, it's nice to be your own boss, but yeah, you don't get paid.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone. And what I was talking to Thom about is, I think we're going to keep doing this regularly, and then we're going to invite like another guest, like Hellbent or Jean Lalonde or Tank or Maestria or Geek Dude, and just so on, and have them also join as a planned visitor, I don't know, guest.
Guest, yeah.
And, but we'll try to have like a planned topic, and then still, if you guys have questions on something, fine, we'll deal with your questions first, right? Because that's the whole purpose of these. But it will help give a little more structure to it and have a reason for y'all to show up in case you like that topic. So,
yep.
Thanks everyone for being here.
Yep.
And help on. Yep. Thank you. Yep. Take care, everyone.
It was great seeing you guys.
Yep. Bye.
And do. Yeah.